Welcome, everyone. I am here with Carolyn McGraw, and she is going to share her life story with us, parts of her life story, whatever she wants to share. In my goals and my process of helping others to embrace their story and to be comfortable sharing it, I am inviting people to come and share their stories. So here's Carolyn. She is an intuitive business and dating coach. At the age of 16, Carolyn began her first business and went on to build 5 more. She has been interviewed on numerous TV and radio shows. She even hosted and produced her own show called Life on Purpose. That'll be fun. We'll talk about that. Carolyn is an international best-selling co-author for her chapter entitled, The Healing Power of Love and Forgiveness. An amazing topic. For over 15 years, she has worked as a clinical hypnotherapist. She earned a master's degree in education and taught school for over 20 years. She worked with students out of gangs and transforming their lives with poetry and therapy. You're amazing, Carolyn. I'm so excited. Her passion is guiding others to turn the wound story into their wow story. She coaches her clients to develop their God-given gifts through her soul-aligned blueprint. So I'm excited to learn about and from Carolyn. You can take it over, Carolyn, and just tell us whatever you want to. You can start with what are some fun facts about you, or an example of a day in the life of Carolyn, whatever you want to do. And I can throw in some questions as well throughout our discussion.
Thank you, Sheri. This is wonderful. And the process, first of all, I wanted to say of kind of gathering my thoughts and different things that have happened through my life was very therapeutic for me. And I really got some insights when I kind of wrote down different points. So I appreciate the opportunity to share this. And so you asked me about fun facts, is that I have 2 famous relatives. One is my great-great-grandfather, who was a pioneer. There are movies and books about him. His name's Ephraim Hanks, and he rescued the Willie Handcart Company. And I'm just so honored to be in a line of he raised the dead, and he was a companion with Brigham Young, and he spoke many different Native American languages and helped heal some of them and their children. And so yes, every July 24th, someone in whatever ward I'm in shares his story, and I'm always so that's my relative.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
So my other fun fact is my brother is kind of famous too. He's an actor, and he's been in many church films, Disney, and started comedy at BYU, and he does comedy improv in LA, and he's been in Saints and Soldiers, Airborne Creed. He was in, if you remember way back, Singles Ward. He played DeVerl. And we actually traveled to Africa, and when we went to church, they recognized him there from.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
His most recent one is Witnesses. If you've seen that, he plays Martin Harris in that. So I knew that he would be famous way back, and I told my mom one day we'll see him on the big screen, and she says, you're right. We did get to go to the theater and see him there.
Yes, that's so good. So I was hoping you were going to say you're related to Tim. So I was going to say, let's get him.
Tim McGraw, yes.
I was going to say, have him come and do a concert for us. A personal, private concert.
Yes. I get asked that a lot.
Yeah, anyway. Well, that's awesome. Very good. Okay. You can take it however you want.
All right. I once got a standing ovation. I had to speak to a group of teachers, and the first line I said was a spontaneous rise and clapping for the one line I said. And I said this, I said, I may not be totally perfect, but there are parts of me that are excellent.
Yes, I love it.
And what I love about that quote, it was actually stitched on a little pillow that my sister had on her bed. I'm like, I absolutely love that. I'm going to memorize that. So I use that quote, and it is because so many of us focus on our weaknesses, focus on the things we don't like about ourselves, our mistakes, and we don't spend enough time celebrating our awesomeness and the amazing things we've accomplished, because we're always focused on fixing that one thing that we don't like. So I'm all about like making time to celebrate the wonderful things, our talents, our gifts, and all our story, our story that we've been through, and who's made who we are now. Just as I'm thinking back in my life and where I am now and the different things, I'll start when I was 7. I started to I remember at that age, as many children have the ability to see through the veil and have spiritual gifts pretty wide open. I had an experience where I was riding my bike to school down a hill, and I decided that I would take my hands off the handlebar, and was going very fast. I hit a rock. My bike flipped. I hit my head straight on the concrete or the pavement, and I did not feel a thing. And I had this distinct image that angels had put a little trampoline with a pillow, because I felt like my head bounced. It was soft and my head bounced, and I had no injury. And I knew at 7, that's not possible. I should be gushing blood. I should be rushed to the hospital. How could I have not felt that? And I knew I wasn't alone. I knew I had heavenly helpers from a very young age. And then my next experience around the same time was I was at church, and I was very excited because I saw the choir was all dressed in white, and their hair matched their robes. So all had white hair and all white robes. I said, this must be very special that they have all matched perfectly. And I couldn't wait to hear them sing. And so as the meeting went and they ended, there was no choir singing. And I said to my mom, I said, Mom, how come the choir didn't sing? I was so excited. She goes, honey, there's no choir today. And
Wow.
I just was perplexed. I saw them, they were there, and I had forgotten about that for years and years and years. Later it came back to me. So yeah, as I said, I knew I wasn't alone. I knew we had heavenly helpers. And I realized also that I thought everyone had the gifts that I did. I recognized that I could feel other people's emotions. And I remember distinctly in the store, someone in front of us couldn't pay for their groceries. And at 7, I felt a humiliation. And I'm like, I'm not even comprehending what that is. And I don't like that. I don't want this gift, and I would like to turn it off. So I did turn it off. I want to fit in. I want to be like everyone else, when I realized that this is not what everyone else is like. So I did turn it off until I got to college. I think it was college that I remembered, no, that's a cool gift. I want that back. I want to open that. I want to pursue that. That makes me unique and special. I want that.
That's awesome. How do you turn it off? That you just ignore? Maybe you just ignore.
I literally like visualize a light switch. And I'm just like, no, thank you. I don't want to feel the pain. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. Like that's where I was picking up people's pain. If someone fell down in front of me, I felt that pain within my body. And so I just made the decision and just kind of asked, I don't want this, please.
Yeah. Thanks for the
It's hard for a kid to handle that.
Yes.
So let's see. The next thing was interesting. On the playground, one of my favorite games that we played for a little while till it got ruined was someone introduced this. one person lays down and everyone around them with two fingers under them, and you say, light as a feather, stiff as a board. And then you lift this person up. And I was fascinated. I thought, how does this work? This is amazing, and it was the subconscious, and it was, I remember wanting to continue to play that because I wanted to understand this. And I remember one little girl said, it's the devil. And everyone ran off and we could never play it again. And it was so disappointing. She ruined this. But what I found is something that's powerful and something that we don't understand. People put in a category, witchcraft, devil, like I have experienced that all along. People with maybe, not open-minded to things. And I studied hypnotherapy, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So these kinds of experiences, and I didn't really have anyone to talk to about it, but my mother was very open and she shared some of her experiences. So in my family, it was okay to share these things. So that's a little bit of the beginning of my spiritual gifts. I did discover another spiritual gift when I was a teenager, is that I recognized other people's spiritual gifts was one of my gifts. And my brother was the first, I believe. And this is the one, Lincoln Hoppe is the actor, my actor brother, that's in those films. And at the dinner table, he got funnier and funnier, and cracking us up. And I just remember it felt so nice to bond with my family as my brothers saying funny situational things. And I felt I needed to tell him, I needed to affirm to him that this was a gift. So I told him, this is a gift of humor, and keep doing it because it makes people happy. Yeah. And he went on to be a professional comedian. So I take credit. Now, I asked him not too long ago, do you remember when I said that? Because he must have been 9 years old and he didn't remember that. But I do remember that.
Listen to his big sister.
Yes. And also when I would watch the Olympics, especially gymnastics, I remember just crying. And just, I'm like, I asked myself, like, why do I always cry when I watching this Olympic gymnast? And the answer, when you ask the question, the answer comes. So it's always so good to continue to ask questions, because that's how we find our answers.
I'll receive. That's what comes to my mind. Ask.
What's that?
Ask and ye shall receive.
Yes, love that. Yes. So what came to me was the deep appreciation for their dedication, their sacrifice to develop their talents, their gift, that they are at this level. And so it just touched my heart when I just saw these people just, the best in the world. So then I realized, okay, I'm going to, when I notice someone's gift, I'm going to tell them. That's part of my job. So that's what I do. So at home, there's also another thing that kind of has been a theme in my life. And my mom had a little plaque on the kitchen wall, and I remember I'm going to redo that plaque. I wanted to say some different words. It had this idea, but the words that I painted on there was, let's make our home a little bit of heaven. And that has been my theme of bringing heaven down on earth and living in that higher vibe, and feeling connected to divine, and to be the normal, right? And so that's what I do with my home. And I notice when people come in, they do feel it. They do feel a peace, and they feel the spirit. So I've made that intention for my home to feel that way. And let's see what else. All right. So when I was in 7th grade, so those are the positive things. And now I want to kind of get into the wounded things that kind of led to where I have gone to. about 7th grade. I was brave enough to, junior high. Okay, that's the boy I like. Okay, you got to get your friend to ask the boy, does he like me? And so I guess I wrote the note. She gave him the note, and she came back and she said, no, he doesn't. And like I needed to know why. So I guess she filled me in, was like, he says you're not his type. Okay, 7th grade, right? and and his type was athletic. And so, that hurt my feelings. It was my first time out to put myself out there, but I did not realize that all these years that was a deeper wound than I recognized, because it would keep coming up, this theme of rejection in my life. And
it gives me chills. That's something we talked about in this group, is that all these triggers that from one event.
Yes, that we don't realize how it affects us. And so kind of, going now to college, similar thing, a young man that I wrote him, I wrote him on his mission, and we're at BYU and we're going to dances, and I recognized that he was not wanting to like date, and he was just like meeting everybody, and I just thought, this is the kind of person I want to marry. He's got of course, all the other girls thought the same thing. There was a line in front of this man. And to realize, like, okay, we're not on the same page. We're not wanting the same thing. I was shocked at how much that was heartbreaking to me, because I just assumed, like, oh, we're just like a perfect match, and oh, we're just gonna be together, and then it wasn't that way. So that led to let's say I'll say, okay, I'll jump right, I guess I'm going to jump right into divorce. And so I married a cop, and sometimes he brought his work home with him and took it out on the kids and I at times. And so I remember having a premonition when we first were married, something that he did and said, that I just saw, like, I would be afraid to divorce you because I could see that you would be horrible. And he says, you're right, I would be.
Oh gosh.
And so 15 years later, that divorce began, and it changed his personality. He was not the same person. This honest man went to this, lying. And he was a cop, he was in the system. And at that time, things were swaying to fathers getting more. So I got less. And it was just one of those really horrible, devastating kinds. And what the tragedy was, my son was, I'll say he was about 12. He was about 12, 13. And his dad had done, some making me the bad guy, and really had an impact on him, so much so that my son stopped talking to me for 12 years.
Gosh.
And nothing I did, no therapist, no counseling, no, the prayer, and just, I prayed for 12 years, and until he came back around. So that's the chapter that I wrote about in the book, Jumpstart Your Relationship. I have a co-author in, and it's the healing power of love and forgiveness, and the lessons that I learned going through that, being rejected by my son, was, there's no words. There's no words.
Him, and forgiving your former spouse.
Yes. So in that chapter, I write some of the lessons is Love is accepting what is. Because I kept fighting against this can't be right. This can't be true. I didn't do anything to deserve this, and just, the tearing myself up and as soon as I got to the point where this is what is, I have to make peace with it, and I have to go on with my life and know that he will come back. So that was part of the first part of my healing. And then the second part is, whatever problem, it's a test in love. Whatever problem you have, it's a test in love. And, it's about loving ourselves. It's about increasing our love for God. It's about loving those who have hurt us. And then the next lesson was the healing part of love is forgiveness. And so interesting, there are layers to forgiveness. So right away, right at the beginning, as soon as we were, in that divorce process and living separately, I knew I had to go do the forgiveness thing, right? So I wrote a letter, and to my former husband, and please forgive me, I forgive you, and let's have peace, and let's do the best for our children, and all that. But I realized that was just my mind. That was just my mind forgiveness. There was more layers in my body, in my heart. And over the years, I had to keep doing the next layer, the next layer, and the next layer. And there's so many layers. There are so many layers to this resentment and betrayal and anger. And so I feel like I got most of it, but it took a long, long time to be able to make peace with that. So yeah, and often I work with people and they're like, oh no, I forgive that. And I'm like, there's more. There's so much more, because I'm still seeing this as one of your triggers. I'm still seeing this, as a heart wound that's preventing you from, your next relationship and connecting, so then so as I'm starting to date and getting excited about it, I remember one day at my kids' school and talking to the secretary, and she was an older lady and she didn't date and she didn't really have any relationships. And she was just, kind of the cat lady alone, but very sweet and nice. And I just felt prompted to say to her 2 words. And she took those 2 words and she opened up her horizon, and she met a wonderful man, and she got married late in her life, and she contributed it to me in sharing those 2 words that I felt prompted to say. And those 2 words say, try online dating. That was it. Like, she had never thought of that. Like, we lived in a remote area in the mountains, and there wasn't many people. And so that was the way that she could meet and connect with people. And so I, always, if I feel to say something, I always feel prompted that there's a purpose in the spirit whispering to me and it can just be 2 words that can change someone's life.
Yeah.
I love being able to be that instrument.
I did want to bring up is that the intuitive coaching, just I did mention that at the beginning, but to emphasize that is how she's able to she mentioned in the first how you have your like empath, you can pick up on emotions and pick up on spiritual gifts and spiritual things, but I think that is part of it too. As you in your coaching, you were very likely inspired to say, try online dating. Just try it, give it a try. I bet that's
Yes. Oh, and I'm glad you said intuitive, because that takes me back to that journey. So as a child, I had the gifts. I didn't know how to use them, but I would see things, kind of visions. I would see pictures of the future. And I always thought I was really good at wish making, because I would see myself doing something in future and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do that. And then it would happen. And I realized I was just seeing, things playing out ahead of time. And so my experience that really opened me up was I went to this kind of a leadership training. It was kind of an emotional boot camp, and they kind of break you down and release all the emotions, and then they build you back up. And part of it was recognizing your gifts. And so we did this exercise where a group of, they would say, okay, you're in a group, one person stand in front, and the rest of you just say what comes to you about this person. So I just began like, I don't know what I'm saying. I just started saying things to make, I just didn't know. And then suddenly I focused into this woman's heart, and I could see and feel the emotion in her heart, and it was anger.
Mm.
And I said to her, I said, you have anger. In fact, it's rage. And then I just listened, and you're like, okay, where is this coming from? And it's to your father. Well, her eyes got real big and her mouth dropped open, and she said, oh, you really knew me.
Wow.
And that lit me up, because I said, yes, I can do that. That is something that felt so good, to have that insight and to be able to help someone point it out. But, at the time I didn't know how to help. I could see it and feel it, where it's coming from, but I didn't know how to help her. And so that led me on a journey to this healing journey of all holistic alternative things. I studied and took classes and read everything that I could, because I wanted to help people with their pain. I wanted to help people find happiness, and how to release the emotional pain, how to forgive. So I ended up studying hypnotherapy. And in that, and it was right after I got divorced, and it was such beautiful timing, because it helped me incredibly, immensely, to heal my heart very quickly. So as a hypnotherapist, I do feel like I'm speaking to someone's soul.
Mhm.
The subconscious is where the soul is.
Yeah.
And as we quiet the mind, relax the body, I help people tune in inward. I help them tune in, and I ask them questions, and they're bringing up their own insight and own wisdom. And it's just a phenomenal experience. And we have these hidden subconscious beliefs that are running our life. And if we can't reach that goal, if we can't make that change, it's because that belief has to be changed within the subconscious mind. And that's the beauty of the hypnotherapy. So my experience, and again, people I've come across like, oh no, that's of the devil. It's interesting about hypnotherapy. Again, it's powerful. We don't understand. And at the time it was lumped in with the witchcraft way back. And then Hollywood has done a number on it too. No,
Yeah.
not difference from stage hypnosis, act like a chicken.
I said it didn't make sense. I was thinking, I don't know why people think that they just don't understand it. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. And so really I do gravitate to people with open minds that think it's cool and are not afraid of it. But you know what? People are afraid of change, and they are afraid to look deep inside. So that's what I found. Sometimes people make an appointment with me, and then they don't show up. They want it, but then that fear comes, and like, no, you know, you're going to let go of all that emotional garbage, and then you're going to be shining your light, and you're going to be, having to step up into your higher vision of yourself, because that's what it does. It brings you to that higher potential. So I wanted to share about my little experience. So in this training, we had to have a session, and I never had really hypnotherapy before, with the teacher. So I got my first session, and at the time, was just fresh off the divorce. My heart was, like broken in a million pieces. My children weren't with me very much because of the distance of where we lived, and my son didn't want to be part of my life, and my identity of a mother, and trying to cope with, now I'm not a full-time mother. So you guys remember that Cipher in the Snow? I think it's showed in seminary from 1960 something. That boy that died from a lack of love, just collapsed, his heart stopped. That's where I felt a little bit like that. Like, I feel like Even though I had loving people around me, I could not feel it. It was like numb, I could not feel that love. And I felt, just that devastation. So that's where I went. I'm going to hypnotherapy, and he says, what do you want to work on? And, I realized that, in that state, I had that needy energy. I need someone in my life to love me. I need to fill that up, that hole. And of course, that's not an attractive quality when we're dating. So it's a repelling quality when we feel that neediness, kind of codependency. And the hypnotherapy I did was more of a spiritual based hypnotherapy. So we did a guided journey on meeting my inner mate. So it actually, like, we bring up the image and a name and, the qualities, and that this inner mate knows exactly what you need to hear, exactly what you need. And it's yourself
Yeah.
in this image that makes it easier to, I guess, interact with, or it just was incredible that I now could tap into my own love. That's what it did. It helped me tap into my own love, that I don't need someone outside me to love me. I have to love me in here and find how.
Yes, absolutely.
So that, and then I'll tell you, I was on this high after, like in another world. Like, it just opened up my world of possibilities, and the power of our mind and the subconscious, and so amazing. So I remember I woke up the next day, and I swear that I felt I lost 10 pounds in that one session. It's emotional weight is actual weight. I lost 10 pounds of emotional weight. My clothes were actually looser. And when I went into class, people said, yeah, you do look like you lost weight.
So do you think, I have to interject now because now I'm curious. Is that gonna throw you off your game?
No, go ahead, Sheri.
So you say energy is weight. So getting rid of that, I mean, emotion is ways, like you're saying. So I believe that there's energy. I know energy and emotion are very similar, but I've never heard it to be considered weight. I do feel it. You get a weight lifted off your shoulders when you clear things up. But anyway, you can speak
Yeah,
of that.
that's happened a few
Weigh
times.
it on a scale.
Yeah. Releasing the emotional weight releases the physical weight.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. So what happened the next day was actually this inner mate of mine appeared in the physical reality. So again, in the hypnotherapy class, the next day, a man was standing behind me, and he was actually helping me, because I was like, he was training me a little bit. So he was actually right in my ear, whispering in my ear, say this, do this, as we doing a practice hypnotherapy. And I felt this tingling. I felt this, wow, this is amazing. Wow, this is a magnetism I'm sensing. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to pay attention to this. And so we remember we got together and we hugged, and I've never experienced a hug like this in my life. The hug was it felt like 15-20 minutes.
Wow.
And it was exhilarating and spiritual, and I felt this immense love. And I said, what is this? I have never felt this. I don't even know you, And he had a gift. He had a spiritual gift. And he said, this is all you. I'm just reflecting back your energy, who you are, your essence. You are feeling you.
Wow.
And I was like, how do you do that? That's amazing. That's amazing. My heart was healing in this. And so for many years, I thought, oh yeah, he did propose to me like the next week. He did propose to me. And I kind of laughed. But this was an extraordinary relationship that healed my heart.
Wow.
It healed my heart. And again, I thought it was him and what a special person. But years later, I recognized this was God. This was God working through this man to give me this gift of seeing how big my heart was, how much love I have to give. And I never had a person that could reflect that to me and verbalize that.
Yeah. That's cool that it came from you. I love that.
Yeah.
Like a confirmation that it was all working, right?
Yes, yes. And interesting, back to my first husband, I remember, again, my heart was big and had so much love to give. And his heart was not as big, with not that as much love. And I recognized that, and I heard these words come to me saying, don't give all of your love to him. You need to save some for you. And I found that fascinating. It was this kind of a little warning of, like, yeah, feed yourself, and don't rely everything, and don't, like, it felt like a protection too. Like, this is not forever, which I thought it would be, forever. So yeah, just I love how the Spirit works in our lives, and the tender mercies that we receive in our trials. And I do believe that we go through our challenges and trials, and we get to develop our gifts through that. Our gifts pop open and they help us. And as we learn our gifts, we then are able to serve with our gifts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what I found. I wanted to go back a little bit at the beginning of the divorce, before my heart was healed from the hypnotherapy. One of those dark night of the souls. And it seems like at night, just the oppression and the depression come down hard. And I remember sobbing and just beating my bed, like, why is this happening to me? What have I done? I don't deserve this. I don't understand this. And just being at the depths of that depression. Like the pain, emotional pain can be more painful than physical pain. And I was feeling that pain so deep. And I remember just sobbing and crying. And I woke up the next day and something had changed. And I was like, what, am I bipolar now? Because I was so depressed and now I feel good today. Like, how am I suddenly feeling good today? And there was different words going on in my head. And these were the words rattling around. And I believe the Spirit works on us at night for healing. I believe we can call upon that healing, and it does happen. I've witnessed it, because I can just be fine the next day. I'm like, what happened? Somebody worked on me last night. So the words were, something wonderful is going to happen. And I said, I'll take it. That feels good. I'm going with that. And it changed my complete mood. I was actually like singing to the radio. I was dancing, like, this was a whole different person than I was, the months before, and I was excited to go to work and I was feeling so good. And when I got to work, the most incredible thing happened that proved the power to me of our thoughts create a reality. So when I walked in, above my desk, that was not there the day before, it was a piece of paper with some words written on it. And it said, something wonderful is going to happen today. Now, I didn't tell anyone my words when I woke up with. I didn't share that with anyone. But when I got there, someone had picked up on those words and gave that to me. And I was dumbfounded.
That is another way the Spirit works, right? Works through other people.
Yes. We have earth angels. We do. So that day was an incredible day for me because the rest of the day was fantastic. Like, work went awesome. It was like the best work day. It was easy. It was fun. I'm interacting and laughing with my coworkers. And it was just such a delightful moment. And I realized I had created that with a decision to believe that something wonderful was going to happen. And it did. These words appeared. I had the best day and I had decided to make that happen. I believed it. And the spirit gave me those words. And so it became my motto. It is my motto. And
I'm gonna adopt them.
yes. Okay. This is what I say. When I taught high school, I said, okay, kids, we're doing an experiment. I want you to write down something wonderful is about to happen. I want you to say it every day. When you wake up, when you go to bed, every time you think about it, look at it, and just believe like a kid on Christmas, something wonderful is coming. It could be small, it could be medium, it could be large, but something is coming. And it happens every time within a few days when I do this. And so a few students came back, and the first one said, weird, my neighbor who I don't even know randomly called me and said, would I like a expensive 10-speed bicycle that he doesn't need anymore for free?
Wow.
And I said, okay, that qualifies wonderful. Then another girl came in, and some of them, they didn't recognize the wonderful things that came in. You know, they weren't aware, they weren't looking. And so I said, well, think back in your week. She says, nothing really. And she thinks back, she goes, well, there was one day I was walking down the street and I literally ran into my very best friend who moved away. I hadn't seen her a year and I lost her phone number. I said, that counts as wonderful, right? No coincidences, right? So the third girl came in and she said, well, I went to the gas station and I decided to buy a lottery ticket and I won.
Whoa, that's the one you want.
Yes. And so she was so delighted with herself, just giggling and giggling. She went to her car and she had it in her notebook. And she goes, I'm going to do it again. So she read it again. Something wonderful was about to happen. She went back in, bought a second ticket, and she won a second time in a row.
Gosh, that's amazing. That's very cool.
So part of my mission is to teach other people the power of their thoughts, the power of their words to create their reality, and to show them how powerful they are. They created those things for themselves.
I love that. And yet we do instead say things like, this is really heavy. This is really hard. I'm doing hard things, you know, and this, does it ever end? We do, if we talk about stuff like that, that also comes to fruition, doesn't it?
Yes. So I say you need to know what you don't want.
Yeah.
And then you go into detail and specifics of what you do want, and you only focus on what you want. You only speak of what you want. You change your language, right? And it's the intention. It's intentional living. It's intentional, like, this is what I want in my life, so I'm only going to think about it and speak about it. And then the miracles happen.
Yes, I love it. It's so good. I do like that. I believe that you can live in with intention.
I love Wayne Dyer. You ever read Wayne Dyer?
Yeah.
I started reading him in high school, and one of his quotes is, if you're not getting what you want, there's an absence of love somewhere in your inner world.
Wow.
And that's the work. That's the work, the inner work of loving those parts of us that feel unloved, unworthy. We have to find those. We have to forgive that person that hurt us, or that we believed in the lies they told about us. You know, love those parts and pieces, and you know, become, that's how we heal. You know, that number 2 things for healing. Every client, every person I ever worked on, no matter what the issue, from business to dating to health, the 2 core things are that self-love and the forgiveness to ourselves and others. When my clients are able, when I'm able to help them really get that, amazing things immediately happen in their lives. Like, it's just like a domino effect, like this, and you know, I believe miracles, and I think, you know, I believe in daily miracles. I love that word, and call that in for myself and see that for others. And I'll just give you an example of one woman. She was a business coach, and I said, okay, what would you like to work on? She goes, well, everything's okay. She couldn't really pinpoint, but when I really, it's like, you know, there's something. She goes, well, I don't have a really good, close relationship with my mother. Okay, that's what we're going to work on. So we did the the forgiveness part, and forgiving mom for not being the mother that she needed, for not being there, for putting her down, for criticizing, judging, all that, that we experience with parents and people in our lives. And it was just that one session that we did. And a few weeks later, she called me and said, "You won't believe what happened." She said, after we worked, I went home and I had the best conversation with my daughter. Like we connected. It was like heart connection and deep. And she opened up more than she had in a long time. And they just felt really close and bonded. Then she got a call, and she got a big time client came in for her right then. And then the most amazing thing is she got engaged. And she said her boyfriend had proposed to her before, but she had turned him down. She said no. And after the clearing, again, the relationship with her mother cleared other relationships for her. She said, "Why am I saying no? He's a great guy." And she said yes, and she got engaged, and then I got invited to the wedding.
Nice. And she gave you the credit for pulling her.
Yes.
So good. That's awesome. So do you have any, I'm going to guess, but do you have any suggestions for some kind of an action item? And I was thinking maybe that like an action challenge, if you want us to do something I was thinking that that might be something that you would do, but you might have something else.
Yes. Well, I got a couple things interactive a little bit, and then a challenge. So one of, I came across this, absolutely love this, is to say whatever problem you're having in your life. So I want everyone to think what that problem is. And I'm going to tell you the words, and then we're going to do it together. And the words are: I bless my problem with love. I release it and let it go. I accept for myself and what is the opposite of that, what it is that you're really wanting. So everyone get that in your mind. I'm going to say the words again. I want you to say the words to yourself.
Okay.
So whatever the problem, the issue that comes to your mind, I want you to say, I bless my problem with love. And just see light around that issue, just love and light, just holding that. There's lesson in that. And then say, I release it and let it go, and take a deep breath. And I accept for myself what you're really wanting, what you're really needing in place of that.
Awesome.
So those are great words to write down and to use. I bless my problem with love. I release it and let it go. I accept for myself. Really, again, putting you into what you're wanting instead of focusing on what you don't want and the issue and the problem. You want to put your effort and energy into what you're calling into you.
And the last thing was, is that what the last thing was? I know, I was trying to remember that part. Okay, yes. So, and I
accept for myself. Accept for myself.
Yeah.
Love, I accept for myself unconditional love, peace, abundance, prosperity.
Any of that. Yeah, that's so good. I like that. I'll go back and write that down. That's good.
So just bringing my whole story back around. So this part of this, creating heaven on earth, and, learning my gifts about intention, and, something wonderful is about to happen, and my intuition in following the promptings that I'm getting, and, using the tools that I've gotten. I feel like God has called me to gather other like-minded beings to develop and use their spiritual gifts on a higher level. So I felt called to move to Utah, and I have met many people that are wanting that community of either turning those gifts into a profitable business, you know, using them through coaching and whatnot. And then just feeling like we're training the next generation leaders as again, kind of the visions I have of the future of like being prepared to use our spiritual gifts in a very important way to help those who are struggling spiritually and who are lost, and they need us, you know. So, you know, just strengthening community, strengthening those who feel called and want to develop their gifts, want to use their gifts more, want to serve, make a greater impact. So that's where I'm feeling those are the people, you know, purpose-driven entrepreneurs that want to make a greater impact and increase their income so that they can feel their needs and live happy and feel you know, that security and stability, because when we are there, we have more resource, we have more energy, we have more love to give when our needs are met.
Yes, amen to that. That is so good. There's a lot of people in here too. Yeah, they'll get the word out for sure. There's a lot of people in here who are entrepreneurs in this group that I know of. That's good. Good stuff. Very good. And tell me about, just quickly before we end, I want to, well, I don't even know that we have to end. I can't see what time it is. 8 o'clock. My thing's in the way here. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock. So we don't have to end, but if you have more to share, you can go for it. But before we do end, I did want to talk about some things that you might not have on your agenda. Just that, the stuff that you're doing, the coaching, the courses that you have go. I know that you have some of that stuff coming up.
Yes, yes. Love to share that. Thank you. I'm doing a course called Miracle Mindset, Aligning with Your Higher Purpose for your life and your business and your relationships. And it is intention, it is intuition, it is creating the heaven on earth, you know, and living, you know, that's a heart-centered life, what I call a heart-centered life, you know. That's how I coach, is heart-centered is what intuition is. It's spiritual, it's getting to the core of the matter, and it's getting to your higher purpose and magnifying your brilliance.
Wow, I love it.
That is going to be August 19th, Saturday, and it's going to be a series of 3 sessions, and I also have a free gift for everyone that would like it. So I do business and I do dating. Of course, I love the single entrepreneur that's looking for soulmate clients and soulmate partners. That's my specialty. And I have a Recode Your Love Mindset audio recording that highlights some really great points about that self-love and self-worth. So I'm happy to send that out to anyone. You can message me, Carolyn K McGraw, and message me for that. And then if you're interested in my course, I can send you the details of that.
Say the name of the recording again. Recode Your
Love Mindset.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So, and you can share that on this post if you'd like, or, I mean, I'll leave this video up. You can put it in the comments, but I will also, I'll post it if you don't. So that'll be good. And they can message you. Yeah.
All right. Well, if we have 2 more minutes, I have a little short little meditation we could do. I call it the heart streaming method. If you guys want to do that.
Yeah.
Bringing love in.
Yes. I was going to say the cool thing about doing it this way is that even if someone doesn't catch the whole interview, we could just clip this out and also provide this as a separate piece too.
Okay.
Yummy piece. Okay.
All right. So heart streaming method I created, and it's powerful. And so yeah, we're just going to get relaxed. Just relax your shoulders, your neck, your back, just kind of sink in, get comfortable, and just start taking some deep breaths. And you could put one hand above your, on your heart, and one hand below your belly button. And as you're breathing, say these words: I open myself to love. I am willing to be loved. I am willing to love and be loved. I'm going to say it 2 more times. I open myself to love. I'm willing to love and be loved. I open myself to love. I'm willing to love and be loved. To see your heart expanding into this deeper, bigger love that you're calling in. And now visualize your family enveloped in this circle of light and love. You can even bring in your friends. You can invite in people from your past, all the people you'd like to forgive, into the center of this circle. And just let them feel that love that's radiating from you, radiating as you stand in this circle, as you're opening to love. Put yourself in the circle. Let yourself forgive you first. Your mistakes, your weaknesses. Just love those mistakes and weaknesses. Just love them. Just put that love around them. Now think of a person who you're struggling with in a relationship that you'd like to improve. See their face. And now visualize a stream of light and love from your heart going right into their hearts. And see them feel that love. And take a breath. And the last part is a Hawaiian forgiveness prayer called Ho'oponopono. And it begins this: say these words to yourself: I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. We'll do it 2 more times. Ho'oponopono prayer. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And breathe. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. And that's what our world needs more: love.
Yeah.
All you need is love. And that starts with loving ourselves first and loving those who've hurt us next, and forgiving through our love.
That's awesome. When you do it that way, it makes it easy to forgive. Like, it's just, in fact, the person that came to my mind that I've been needing to forgive came to my mind at the very first when you're talking about bringing your family in.
Yes. Yes.
I brought that person in, and it was so easy. And now, I don't know. That was good.
It can be easy, right?
It's sitting still and sitting with your higher self.
Yeah. And making the intention, I want more love in my life. So I need to radiate out more love. And I'm telling, this is so powerful. Don't be surprised if those people that you thought about to forgive reach out to you, because this usually happens to me. Maybe I had a little conflict with somebody, a little misunderstanding, and I do this little Ho'oponopono and just visualize love and light to them. They will reach out to me within a couple days, and it's like, I was thinking about you, and I'm like, I know why. I know why. You felt it. Yay, it works.
I love that. That's awesome. You know, the thing I love that you're sharing, the things that you're sharing, there are so many people that don't understand it. And well, there are many who do. I think it's more common now for people that do. Most of the people that I know actually do understand it now. But those who don't understand, or who might mock it, you know, the way that you think, it's that they're missing out, because it is part of our world. It's part of us, part of who we are, our spirits, and how God communicates with us too, is through the spirit.
Oh, I like how you shared that, Sheri, because that brought another point, is because I have struggled with that judgment. And again, that hits my rejection wounds. They don't want what I have to give. I have so much to give. I want to give it. And what I learned was, those aren't my people. Those
Yes.
aren't my people. And I keep moving forward to looking for my people who love this. I've had the experience where when I tell people what I do, they begin to cry, and they said, I have been praying for someone like you to help me. And they know that it's a God thing that brought us together. And that's, you know, because I do pray and say, please bring me the people you want me to work with. And they find me.
That's awesome. So this is really good, and I hope I can help with that as well. I think that there are definitely people in this community that would love to reach out to you too. It's not about where or who we came from, or where we feel like we belong, even though that is part of our story. It's not about what we accomplished or didn't accomplish. Those are only gauges for mathematicians. Our life story does not tell who we are. It doesn't tell of our infinite worth. Our value is beyond anything that can be told in our life story. Our story is a detailed or overall view of what we were given or what we created. It tells what we did with what we got, how it affected us, and what we learned from it. So I want to give you the opportunities to share your story. When people tell their stories, I see a lot of God's hand in our stories, all of us. And sometimes people don't see it. Sometimes the ugliest parts, even maybe not because of agency, it might not have been a pleasant experience. He had to honor agency, but he will turn it into a blessing. I can witness that for myself. Someday I'll tell my life story to you.
Yes.
Get someone to host me on my podcast. Anyway, well, thank you for sharing so many wonderful things and so much from your heart. I really appreciate all of it that you've shared with us. Anyone wants to connect with Carolyn or with myself, we're in the Thriving Singles Community Facebook. I think you're in there, right, Carolyn?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Oh, and my website's CarolynKMcGraw.com if they want to see more of the things I do, and they can make an appointment to chat with me there too.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I'm going to stop recording, but I'm going to give Antonio a chance to say anything if he wants to.